Tonight is a very special night. It's the day the Rebbe and the Rebbitzin was saved from the Nazis, Yimach Shemov Zichron. And it's 75 years. 25 years ago, it was 50 years of Yovel, and the Rebbe came out as a surprise and gave out the little booklet, the little red booklet called Korach Sivan, the Korech of Sivan. And I have it. There is in the beginning of the booklet, there's a little, in short, someone tells the story of how the Rebbe and the Rebbitzin were saved. Very miraculous. In the Mitzvah Shem, soon we'll take out the L'chaim, we'll fabring, we'll talk about the story of the rescue of the Rebbe, which is a remarkable story. And then there is a short synopsis of the Rebbe's campaigns that he started from the day he landed to the United States of America until the day he gave out this kuntres, which was 25 years ago. It's a short time before the Rebbe became ill. This is less than a year before the Rebbe became ill. And then there is 4 sichas and 4 maimorim about the significance of the day. And one of there's a pshat on this first rashi, a very esoteric, a chassidish pshat on this first words of rashi that we will learn. Now we will learn the pshat, the pshuta shemikra, combing through Rashi, understanding what Rashi is saying. And at the end of the shir, it will introduce to you the Rebbe's sicha that he said in honor of this special day of his rescue. On these chassidish pshat, on these words. It's for sure a good times. It's 75 years, a very special thing, and it's this year is Gimel Tammuz. It's the 22nd Gimel 22nd. 22 times we had the Elula of Gimel Tammuz. Right. Yeah. Exactly. And that's significant. And 22 is significant. Is that we find that Chazal tell us that the painful separation of Yosef HaTzadik from his father was 22 years, and the pain was so unbearable that he said to the brothers, "You have to run back immediately and get my father, because you can't let it wait another day." So we have to ask the Rebbeinu Shalom. We can't wait another day. We can't bear the pain to be in Golus, and we need Mashiach Tzidkenu. So as Achona for Gimel Tammuz. So we have to get ready. So today is the perfect day to start the countdown, to make achonis, to make a krishma shalamita the way a chassid needs to do krishma shalamita, to daven hashachris the way a chassid needs to daven hashachris, and to make the achonis to be mekabel mishpnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. Let's open up the Chumash. First posuk, first rashi, Parashas Korach. If you have the Chittas booklet, can you give me the? If you have a Chittas booklet. It's page Kuf Chav Tes. Vayikach Korach ben Yitzhak ben Koz ben Levi v'dosam avidim b'nei Reuven v'im ben Peles b'nei Reuven. So Korach, Rashi will explain what Vayikach means. He decided to start an argument, a fight. Vayikum lifnei Moshe. The people with a high name, with a good reputation, 250 people, they gathered with Korach and they stood in front of Moshe.
Why would it tell us what he did right away? Why would it hide and just say that
Well, that's why Rashi has your problem. Rashi has your question. That's why Rashi is going to talk about it. They called all Moshe Valar, and they gathered a Moshe and they said to them, Rav Lochem, and you're too much you've taken for yourself. All the people are holy, B'toichem Hashem, the Eibush is among them. Why do you want to elevate yourself to dominate over the Kahala, the congregation of Hashem? Ishma Moshe fell on his face. He said, This is a terrible thing. That's a terrible sin. In the morning, the Eibush will show who he really chose. They said they challenged the leadership of Moshe Rabbeinu. They challenged the leadership of Aaron HaKohen. Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Listen, the Eibush will show in the morning. There's a kodesh, and those that are holy, and sanctified. You say that I made it up, I decided who is, and it's not true. God will show. He'll bring him close. This is what we should do. This is going to be the contest to know who is anointed by God. Korach and all his crew should take the machtas, should take the shovels. Nuem eish, a fire, so ketoides, should put ketoides. Lifnei shamocher, vayisha sheivcha b'shamocher. We'll see which ketoides God picks.
Is this before Acharemos or this after?
Much before.
Much before.
Yeah.
Even though we're reading it.
We're reading it. Acharemos Shnei Bnei Aaron?
Yeah.
Oh, this is probably after. This is a part of the question. We don't know exactly. We'll talk about it when it was.
So why would they take?
Oh, they should have known better. Okay, it's a good question. It's a good question. Rav Lochem Bnei Levi, you've taken a lot to yourself. Okay, well, let's stop at this. Let's look at the first rashi. Rashi says, Parsha Zu, this Parsha, Yofa Nidreshes. There's a drash, a very nice, a very sweet drash for this whole story in the Medrash of Rabbi Menachem. Tell me which drash is not so nice. You want to give me a list of
maybe some are sweeter than others.
The Gemara says in Eidevin that a person that says this is a very sweet pshat, this is very nice, and this is not so nice, it's a terrible thing. What does it mean? And in general, Rashi doesn't usually bring drash. The whole Rebbe's thing is that, like Rashi says so many times in the first few parshas, I am only coming to explain pshat. So why is he quoting? If Rashi's whole thing is pshat, why is he bringing a medrash? Why is he bringing a medrash? If his whole thing is pshat, why is he bringing a medrash? And it's lo yu'umen ki is super. Then all the medrashim, because Rashi doesn't ever say this, all of a sudden he found a nice drash. Couldn't find anywhere else a nice drash. I mean, you look at the Gemara Sanhedrin, there's so many beautiful stories about what happened. The Gemara in Daf Tzadik Tes in Sanhedrin, there's so many medrashim. No. And this story, and every story in the Torah, there's so many medrashim. And why does Rashi have to say this was the medrash of Rabbi Tanchuma? And if it's the medrash of Yalkut Shemoinu, or if it's the medrash of Rabbi, who cares which medrash it is? Rashi doesn't usually quote. Rashi will say Rabbi Seinu Dorshu. He doesn't say Menachas Daf Chof Tes Amud Aleph. And when you see in the Rashi in brackets Menachas Daf Chof Tes Amud Aleph, you know it wasn't Rashi that wrote it. And what's the proof that Rashi didn't write it?
Someplace he says something.
No, because the Gemara Menachas did not have a Chof Tes Amud Aleph in the days of Rashi. There was the printing shop was not invented yet.
Right. That's cute. I thought maybe his daughter put it in.
His daughter also predated the printing. So obviously those things were put in later. So but Rashi never says, he just says Rabbi Seinu Dorshu. He doesn't even say which Masechta. Here, it's clearly that Rashi is saying it, and if you look at the manuscripts of Rashi that ever says, you find that, but why is it that Rashi has to quote? The main problem here is, what all of a sudden that Rashi decides to say such as unusual language, Parsha Zu, this Parsha, Yofa Nedreshes B'Medrash. This time Rabbi Menachem did a great job.
As if he doesn't agree.
Yeah, as if usually Rabbi Menachem was quite lousy. This time Rabbi Menachem was big tzaddik. He was a ta'atana. Rabbi Menachem came before the Medrash Rabbi even. It was one of the first Medrashim with Rabbi Menachem. Rabbi Menachem is from the early Tanoim. I mean, what would we? Okay. And then, if the Rebbe's always key is a very technical question, but there's a key to understanding many times. What Rashi usually tells you what's bothering him by the words he quotes in the pasuk. So, for example, Baloischa, first Rashi just quotes one word, Baloischa. He says, oh, Lama Nismacha, Pashas, or Shlach. Baloischa, it was both. Lama Nismacha, Pashas, this, La Pashas Meraglim. Why is the Meraglim next to Miriam? He quotes one word. Why? Because it just quotes the first word of the. He's not. It's just this whole Pasha. Why is this Pasha? Over here, Rashi quotes two words. Vayikach Korach. He gives you a general introduction. He says this story has a sweet and a good drash from Rabbi Tanchuma. That's it. And then he quotes again Vayikach Korach because now he's already going into the details. So why does he have to quote two words? Vayikach Korach. Just say Vayikach, whatever. This is the, and then say, by the way, this parsha has a very good pshat from Rabbi Tanchuma, and then go, question by question, word by word, and bring all the pshatim of Rabbi Tanchuma. Obviously, Rashi has here a lot of questions of pshat, and he has no answer. The only answer he can find, the closest that he can find to pshat, is from Rabbi Tanchuma. And it seems like the main question was in the word korech. But he has other questions too. But that's why he quotes Vayikach Korach. Two very obvious questions. What are the two obvious questions? So the first question is, and what Rashi is going to ask it later. Rashi is going to ask it almost clearly. Rashi is going to say, Ma ro korech lach lekem Moshe. What's the question? What did Korach see? And what did Chaim Yankel see? What did Dosan Vavidim see? No, the question is Korach. What's the question about Korach? Very simple question. Korach was from Levi. They were separated from all the Shvatim, Vivdaltes, Alavim, V'hoyuli Alavim. The Levim was separated from all of the tribes. In the Levim itself, there were three categories. Kahas were the holiest. Then Gershon was Gamheim. Nasa Seroish is Kahas. Gershon Gamheim. Merori doesn't say Nasiya Seroish. And the Alter Rebbe, the whole Maimach said this why, and we learned about it. There's Lobin Chasana, right? The Likutei Torah. But okay, whatever the Chiddush Pshat is, but that's the Pshat. That's really what it says. And then we have to understand deeper. But the highest level was Kahas. They got the most exalted jobs. They had carried Kalakosafis, the Oren, the Menoide, the Mizbeches. So by them there was the biggest Nesiyus Rosh. So why was it Kedai for Korach to make up a Machloikis? He's going to hurt himself. He is a big Miyuchis right now. He is almost on the top of Klal Yisrael, and he says no hierarchy. Kulam Kedosh. So you're just hurting yourself. If he's someone that doesn't have to lose, he was just a peasant out there, a Leon Trotsky, he was Boris Yeltsin, he was a peasant. So he has nothing to lose. He'll topple the hierarchy, and maybe eventually he'll climb to the top. The other Chamishim Messiahim, it's no question. Rashi says, Maro Korach. Korach, he is a Levi. He is from Gahaz. He's from the Choshev people in Gahaz. Why would he want to upset the apple cart? The other 250 people Rashi doesn't ask. They're rebels. Why not? We'll upset the apple cart. Maybe we'll end up on the top. And you're going to say, what do you mean? The 250 people Rashi is going to say they were all Rosh Sanhedrin. But obviously their question wasn't that there should be leadership. They all agreed there should be leadership. Their question was Kulam Kedoshim, a holy type of leadership. Or Aaron was designated as Kodesh Kadoshim. Moshe was anointed with oil as a king, which is the same oil as Shemen HaMishcha that was used to anoint the Kalim and the Beis HaMikdash. An elevation of holiness. They said, oh, you need to have representatives. You need a Congress. You need a Senate. You need a president. Each Shevet had one person that was representing them in splitting the land, that looked out for their interests, that they shouldn't be cheated. Each one had a representative that looked out for their interests in the water, that would bring the stick and would bring the water from Miriam to them to get their share in the water. They agreed that there should be representatives. They can't be a representative without any stature. So obviously they have to be tisnasu. But not that there should be tisnasu in a way of kedoshim. That's where their point was, Madu Tisnasu, why should you elevate Kol Edom Kulum Kadosh, elevation of holiness? So they had nothing to lose. They didn't have a status of holiness. The 250 people of the Sanhedrin didn't have a status of holiness. They had a status of leadership. But Korach had a status of holiness. Number one, he's a Levi. Number two, he's Kahos. And in Kahos itself, he's from the Choshev and Yuchasim and Kahos. So he's going to lose his own godless. So that's what Rashi is going to ask. What did Korach see to do such a silly thing? And that's why Rashi quotes Vayikach Korach. And you see in the Parsha, in the Pashto words of the Parsha, that Korach was the rebel here. How do we see that Korach is the rebel? Moshe says, Rav Lachem b'nei Levi. B'nei Levi, what are you arguing? They were not all b'nei Levi. Rashi is going to say they were really from Reuven, the majority of the 250 men. They were not Levi, they were from Reuven. So why was he saying Rav Lachem b'nei Levi? Obviously, Moshe understood who's the instigator and who are the talkers. 250 people are talking, but he knew that there's one rebel here, and he's from Levi. He said that Rav Lachem b'nei Levi. He knew who the rebel was. Moshe understood. So, since we all know that there's one rebel, and he's winding everyone out, he's getting them to Tfahitz, he's getting them to Shvitz. What's his motivation? He has only to lose. They might have to gain, but they didn't instigate it. He's the instigator.
Pasha, he wants Moshe's. Aaron and Moshe, these are the leaders. Pasha, he wants to be a leader. He wants to say. When you learn it, even as a young child, you learn he wants Moshe's position. He doesn't want Moshe to be. Aaron's in second place.
Yeah.
In some places, first place. Korach wants that. He'll use an excuse, but he'll use whatever.
That's giving an answer. It's making an assumption. It's not what he's saying. He said there shouldn't be a higher and a lower.
Right.
That's what he said. Now, we all assume that he said there shouldn't be a hierarchy, but it's not really what he meant. He meant that the whole order should change and I should be on the top. You're already assuming. You're not thinking like a 5-year-old. You're thinking like an adult. This guy is saying one thing and he means another thing. Right. But if you look at the words that he's saying, so if you look at 250 men, they had no status of Kedusha, and they say, why should you be higher than me? Well, let it all be equal. Okay, all be equal. But he's higher. Why is he complaining?
Was there any other Levi with Korach?
It doesn't sound that way from Rashi. It sounds that, well, let's learn soon the Rashi. That sounds like...
Moshe was a Levi also.
Could be there were few. Rashi says Rubam was from Reuven. Could be there was a couple of people of Levi.
Was it Moshe a Levi?
Moshe was a Levi too, but
yeah,
he was talking to them. He wasn't talking to himself.
That's Korach also is a Levi.
Korach is a Levi, exactly. The troublemakers were the Levi over here, right?
What about the sons of Korach? What about his sons?
That's what he was saying. So probably there's, like he said, B'nai Korach were also involved. There was a couple. Rashi doesn't say there was 100% from Reuven. Rashi says Rubam from Reuven. Second question is, when did this happen exactly? So the Ibn Ezra says, other Pashtanim say, Ein Mukdam. We don't know when the story happened. That happened way before the Meraglim. But the way Rashi says it, it sounds like this came right after the story of Tzitzis. And after the story of Menachem. Now, if we should say that this is when the story happened, so the question right away is there's a second big question here, an obvious question. Why did Korach wait so long? After the Chet Egel, the Eibusha took away the avodah from the Bechoros. He gave it to Levi. Then Aaron and his sons were inaugurated for the Sirvas Yimei Miluyim. This guy is quiet. Matan Torah, there was Moshe had a mechitza. Aaron, he's quiet. Every time they teach Torah, Rashi says, first he teaches Aaron, then his sons, then all the Yidden. Korach is quiet. Didn't say a word. He should have said something.
Was everybody depressed?
Huh?
Everybody's depressed.
Finally he found a... Why did he wait for today? What happened today? So these two questions are what bothers Rashi. Therefore, Rashi says the parsha zu yofen and dreshes. It doesn't chas v'shalom mean that this is the only time Reb Tanchuma said a good pshat. He meant like this. This is a unique time where, in the pshat of the Torah, must agree that the pshat alone is not enough. We need to have drash. But within drash, we want to find the drash that's closest to pshat. Just like in the tzitzis, in the last parsha, at the end, Rashi says a whole thing for the Moshe Hadarshan. Why does he bring a whole thing from the Moshe Hadarshan? Because the Torah says that the whole parsha of tzitzis, the way the Torah says so many words, and Torah repeats itself a few times, tzitzis, 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 and it's a mitzvah where the Torah tells you the reason for the mitzvah, and like, what's going on? So in pshat, it's hard to explain everything in pshat. So pshat itself begs, it's like, the Rebbe has once a beautiful word in Parshas Azinu. Parshas Azinu, or Parshas Shira, also when Oz Yoshir, Rashi brings a lot of drash. Because that it's obvious that it's begging for a drash. A song is never pshat. A poem is never pshat. You never heard a poem have pshat. A poem is something deep. Hazinu has to be a drash. The pshat itself says there has to be drash. In the Parshas of Tzitzis, the way the whole thing is put together, it's begging for pshat. Here also Rashi says that the Pashto pshat is begging for a little bit of drash. But which drash? The drash of Rabbi Tanchuma, because that is the closest to pshat. So what is that? So let's learn it inside, and we'll see what Rashi says. And mainly what was the motivation to Korach's rebellion, and why did he wait till today? So we're holding the second line in Rashi. He took himself to one side. That's a pshat vayikach. The word vayikach means, what did he take? It doesn't say what he took. The word lok means that he made an argument. He rebelled. That's vayikach. The word vayikach, according to Unclus, means vispalag, he split. Nachlak mishora eda, he split away from the rest of the congregation. Machloikas, to hold on to machloikas. That your heart is taking you and becoming, and to rebel and become different than others. Second shot is, what did Korach take? He took Moshach, he drew into his rebellion Rosh Sanhedros, the head of the Sanhedrin. Bidvarim, he drew them with words. It says kachas anan. What does it mean? Moshe should pick up Aaron and bring him into the Mishkan? No, it means ku imachem dvarim. It means speak to him. Vayikach Korach obamsha means ispalig. He made a split. The word vayikach means he made a split. Or no, it means ku imachem dvarim. He's a sweet talker. He started to talk to the Sanhedrin, and he said to them arguments that all of a sudden made them think, oh, maybe we should argue with him. So he continues. Ben Yitzhak ben Kozim ben Levi, Lo Yizke ben Yaakov. He doesn't mention Yaakov Avinu. He's the son of Yitzhak, the son of Kahos, the son of Levi. But he doesn't mention why. Shlo Yizoch Shmuel, Shabikas Rachmat El Atzmo, Yaakov Avinu asked Eibishter Rachmanas, Shlo Yizoch Shmuel Malchal Kosam, his name shouldn't be mentioned in the Machlokes. And as it says, Teichet Kvoidi, in their congregation, my glory should not be blackened. The Heichen Niske Shmoi al Korach. Where do we see that Korach is a grandson, and clearly the pasuk mentions him in relationship to Yaakov Avinu? When it talks about the kohanim that stood in the Beis Hamikdash, Shenemar ben Avi Yosef, ben Korach, ben Yitzhar, ben Kahos, ben Levi, ben Yisrael. Okay, continue. Dosan Aviram b'shul shoyeshevet Reuven shore ben Nechanios and Tema shochel lekahos and bonam achonim Temon and Shtat Pahim Korach b'machal kusa, because they were from the shevet of Reuven, and Reuven were neighbors to Kahos. They got involved. Oy l'Rosha, oy l'Shchena, woe to the Rosha, woe to his neighbor. Marok Korach lachlak im Moshe. Oh, now we're getting to the main part of Rashi. But Rashi is explaining many things from Rabbi Tanchuma on the pasuk. As he said, the main thing is the korech word that's bothered. So Rashi now asks a question. Maro korech lachlak im Moshe. Korech. You want to you want to upset the apple cart. You're on the top. All the other fellows, they're not on a higher level in Kedusha. So what do they care? Call them Kedusha and let us all be flat. let us all be equal. Nothing to lose, nothing to gain. We have to get involved in the fight. But you're a Levi, you're Kahas. Why would you want to lose your yichus? The answer is Niskana el Neseusa Shalitzof and Ben Uziel. He was jealous.
Not for Moshe.
Not to Moshe. The jealousy struck his heart. It struck a chord in his heart when he saw that Elitzofim ben Uziel was appointed the Nasi of Kahos. Sheminu Moshe Nasi al Bnei Kahos al Pi Adibu. The Eibishter told Moshe Rabbeinu to appoint Elitzofim ben Uziel. Korach felt that he should get the position. Omar Korach said, Achei Arba Abo Hoyu. There were four brothers here. Bnei Kahos, who were the sons of Kahos? So there is Amram, he's a Bechor. So who came out of Amram? Who were the two? Moshe and Aaron. He said, Moshe and Aaron, the oldest. Fine, so they got a position. There's four sons of Kahos, right? There's three families here. Levi has three sons: Gershon, Kahos, and Merari, right? These are the three families of Levi. And then in Kahos itself, there is four families: Amram, Yitzhar, Chevron, Uziel. He had no problem with the fact that the Eibishter picks Levi as special, because he's part of Levi. Then the Eibishter picks Kahos from the three families, the main family of Levi's. He's got no problem with that. Okay. Now, little problem. Kahos has four families. Amram is first. The Eibishter picks from there Moshe and Aaron. He says, okay, they're the older family. But now the next position, which come to me, I'm the son of Yitzhak. And now he skips. He doesn't give the position, the next position, to the son of Yitzhak. He doesn't even give it to the son of Chevron. He gives it to Uziel, Elitzofim ben Uziel. He got angry. He felt that he should be the leader of Kahos.
There were people before him. There were people before
He
him.
couldn't do He's the second. He's the second.
Was there people? I don't know if there were people before him in this.
Next pick.
Moshe
There was
Rabbeinu first, and then he
after it will. Could be there were more people after Aaron, but he said, okay, enough. Amram got it ready. In Kahos, right? The Eibishter decided Levi special, fine. Then Kahos is special. So Kahos itself has four sons.
Right.
So Amram gets, his two sons get picked.
In age, the older one will get the first pick.
Okay, so that's why he didn't have complaints. Amram was older, so his two sons, Moshe and Aaron, were picked for leadership. Next. He just said next now. You can't, everyone. First of all, there was no next. No one in Amram's family got any more positions. That was it. The doors were closed for Amram's family. Now the question is, some other family is going to get a position. So the Eibishter told Moshe Rabbeinu it's going to be the son of Uziel, which was the youngest of the four. But he was the first son of the second son of Kahos, which is Yitzhak. He wanted the position to be the Nasi of Kahos. That's why he was upset. Amram is the oldest son of Kahos. You understand? He took two positions. Fine. One is a king, one is a Kohen Gadol. So who gets the next position of leadership? Shani ben Yitzhar, Shusheni la Amram. I'm the son of Yitzhar, the second after Amram. Who did he put? Nasi has been Ochi Vakot Mekulam. The youngest brother. There's Amram, Yitzhar, Chevron, Uziel, and he makes Uziel the son. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to teach him a lesson. He didn't give me my position. He's going to lose his position.
But he didn't know it's Hashem made the position. It's not Moshe. Did you know that, Carl?
He thought that Moshe Rabbeinu did it on his own. He didn't believe. He thought that Moshe 90% of the stuff.
That's not.
Yeah, you know, how many chassidim all the years that we heard things from tzaddikim, we heard things from tzaddikim, and the Rebbe told us things to do. Yeah, you know, most of the things we accepted. Then we were smarter. Some things, some sociologist in the Queen's College figured out that this little motivation for this, a little motivation for that. 80% of the stuff are godly. that was korech. That was korech. Ma also, what did he do? Kines, he stood up. The Kines, Reish no Rosh Sanhedrin. He got together 250 leaders of the Sanhedrin. Reuben, majority was from Reuben. It doesn't say all of them. These were choshev people. He put on talisas that had tchelis. Above, lifnei Moshe, the stood in front of Moshe. Lo talis, call it tchelis, chayeves betzitzas apetura. If talis it has tchelis, does it have to have tzitzas? Lam chayeves, it's chayev. He's chilul sachik, they laughed at him. They said, Efshe talis shal minechad, if the whole talis is tchelis, chut echad shal tchelis, I'm sorry, talis shal minechad, if it's all white, the talis. Chut echad shal tchelis poiter, one little string of tchelis, it makes it all potter, it's potter from any more obligation. In other words, it's all kosher now. Zusha kula tchelis, this is all tchelis, latifteres atzma. If you need one string of tchelis, tchelis expensive, they just said, you know what? I'll make it easier for the Jews. One rope of tchelis, good enough. You didn't understand what David tells you. You don't understand the Rebbeinu Shalom. He talks to you and you don't understand what he's telling you. The Rabbi wanted to be nice to the Jews. So he said, you know what? One string of tchelis, good enough. But we're big people. We have the whole talis of tchelis. Oh, we don't need the strings. You don't understand what God is telling you. The Mefarshim say that they really didn't anticipate the conversation to go this way. The Mefarshim say it went the other. They thought that he would say, "You're right. You're right." They thought they'll push him into a corner. He's going to say, "You're right." So they're going to say, just like a talis that's full of tchelis doesn't need one robe. The same thing, a nation that's all kedusha, they don't need one leader that's going to give them kedusha like Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen. A goyim, you could be for the goyim. They need a Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron. The Jews, kulam kedoshim, they're like a talis shekula tchelis. They thought that they were right. When they realized that they were wrong, that was, their whole minds were wired up wrong, so they couldn't admit to their mistake. They started to laugh at him. But that's not really what they were planning. They didn't think the conversation would go this way. They thought that they understood the Rebbeinu Shalom well. Like this sociologist in Queen's College. If a state tzaddikim and Rebbe is going to write books about them, he knows, yeah? So here the Rebbeinu Shalom said, because Rebbeinu Shalom likes the Jewish people, he wants to be kind. So a talis is fairly inexpensive. Tchelis is very expensive. Very expensive. In the old world, tchelis was royalty. So, one string is good enough. But for sure, a person has a talis, a kula tchelis, what does he need? Doesn't need anything. And Moshe Rabbeinu would agree. And they would say, aha, you see? All the true blue. We're all true blue. But then he didn't say what they expected. So then they realized that, so they argued it. Okay. So what is Rashi telling us here? Rashi is answering basically the two main questions that there is in this parsha. Number one, what happened? What happened? Why does he want to upset everything? He was jealous. He was jealous. He was jealous. He was jealous. Why didn't he speak up immediately? Well, then Rashi explains why what do you mean? Because again, he was jealous. So what, he should go out and say, listen, 250 men, get up on podium and say, listen, Aboisai, I'm very jealous. I'm a jealous and deceitful individual. I think I deserve honor, glory, and recognition. Whoever agrees with me, pick up your hand. Only Donald Trump could do that. Only in the United States today it can happen. But I mean, they're going to boot him out the room. He can't say that. Rabbi Tanchuma is telling us the secret. This is not pshat, this is drash, but it's the closest thing to explain what's going on. Because he was very jealous And therefore, but he couldn't say. He waited for an opportunity. When Moshe Rabbeinu said the laws of tzitzis, he said, aha, now I'm going to get him. I'm gonna take revenge on Moshe Rabbeinu, and I'm going to mevatel his nesius. He was mevatel my nesius. I should have been a leader of Korach. So now I'm going to be mevatel his nesius of Klal Yisrael. So what is he going to do? He convinced the Rosh Sanhedrin that we don't need a leader for holiness. We need someone to take us out of Egypt. Fine, but we don't need a Kohen Gadol who's Kodesh Kadoshim. We don't need a Moshe Rabbeinu who is holy, B'Shem and Amish. We don't need that. And why? I'm going to show you something. You see, the Eibishter just gave us a mitzvah tzitzis. And he gave them a whole pilpul, and they all agreed with him. And they said, oh, good, this is going to be a good argument with Moshe Rabbeinu.
How they agree with him?
They didn't. Why? Because
they saw the whole Nisim from Mitzrayim. They took them out and everything. The guy come and tell them that they agree right away. Anashim, they were very special Anashim.
Yeah.
It's 250.
Right, they were very special. They didn't think that everything Moshe Rabbeinu makes up. If they thought that the whole Parsha of Tzitzis he made up, they wouldn't argue based on the Parsha of Tzitzis, right? They're saying, they brought up a proof from the mitzvah of Tzitzis. And if they thought that he was making things up, then they would say, oh, by the way, this whole Tzitzis thing is just baloney, you figured it out on your own. But that's not what they thought. They thought that Moshe Rabbeinu was a tzaddik. But they thought here and there he did things. Korach thought. The prince of Kahos, he made up on his own. He just doesn't like me. Doesn't like me, so he didn't pick me for that position. I'm too powerful, I'm too smart. He doesn't want me in that position. It's personal. It's not from Hashem Yisborah. And the Rosh Sanhedrin got convinced that also yeah, Moshe is a great guy, but just on this, that he says that he's more holy, that Aaron is Kodesh Kadoshim, the Eibishter only meant that there should be leadership. People have to, all 600,000 people shout to God at once. One person talks. He brings back the message. 600,000 people walk in the Kodesh Kadoshim, one person, but not that they have the Kedusha, Kulam Kadosh. That's not true. That was a mistake.
When you said that you don't need a Moshe Rabbeinu, so we don't need you also. You say you don't want a leader, we don't need a leader. So why you want to be a leader? If we don't need a leader, you say that yourself.
He was angry. He was going to be mevat. That's what Rashi says. He was just Thomas Nafshim Plishtim. He wasn't.
Was he jealous?
He was jealous, and he was going to take revenge. That's what Rashi's saying. He was jealous, and he was going to take revenge. But he can't just get up and say, "Listen, guys, I'm jealous, and I want to take revenge." So he waited. He waited for the opportunity. When he heard Moshe Rabbeinu announce the mitzvah tzitzis, he came to with the whole thesis. Pikeach, yeah, he was a wise guy. He didn't tell them, "Listen, fellows, all I want is, I really wanted to be the prince of Kahos. I see it's not going my way. I'm going to take revenge. I won't be a prince. He won't be a prince. No one's going to listen to him. You don't listen. It's like every machloikas. You see, like the Alter Rebbe. The only joke I know from the Alter Rebbe, the only one. The Alter Rebbe was very deep. There's no glatt vertlech. There's no, little shalashudas toras or little, nashing, little vorts from the Alter Rebbe. It doesn't exist. If you want to hear something, you have to be willing to sit for an hour. But there's one vort the Alter Rebbe said. It says in Pirkei Avos, a machloikas shi l'shem that the machloikas shi l'shem shemayim. The Alter Rebbe said, yeah, that's exactly what happens. A machloikas shi l'shem shemayim for heaven's sight is miskayim. It lasts forever. Because a person's not a machloikas. It's not l'shem shemayim. Okay, you know what? Like little kids, she pulled away this. Okay, sorry. They hug and they kiss. It's over. You ever see how little kids fight? 2 minutes later, they're best friends. But the adults, they fight forever. Why? It's not just about this. There's something deeper. He's not a Yerushalayim. He's a Machal Shem Shemayim. And I represent Koved Hashem. And he insulted me. He didn't insult me. It's not personal. It's Koved Hashemayim. I can never forgive him for that.
Over there.
Yeah. So therefore, It's Esoif, this guy is going to last forever. This like, because he sprinkle in a little bit the L'Shem Shemayim. So that's what happened here. Korach really was jealous, and he wanted to take revenge. But he can't say that. So he waited for an opportunity to be Mavatal Moshe Rabbeinu, to get even with Moshe Rabbeinu. That he said Alocha. No, but this is, he assumed that Moshe Rabbeinu would really say the way he thinks. He didn't. It wasn't that he came to say, Moshe Rabbeinu, you're wrong, and I'm telling you a different Alocha. The Mefarshim say he assumed that Moshe Rabbeinu understands like he understands. And then he's going to say, aha, gotcha. Weird, but then Moshe Rabbeinu said not. The things went not like planned, so they started to laugh at him. But they didn't come along and say, you said Alocha, you're wrong. No. They thought that the Moshe will agree.
What's wrong to be jealous of something douche? I also want to be a good. What's wrong with it?
There's a different way to do it. Not to be deceitful and get 250 people to make a big machloikis. That's unfortunately what always breaks our kehila. People, they don't say what they really want. If you came to Moshe Rabbeinu and said, I am hurt, I am jealous, I would love to have honor recognition, I want to sit in front of the whole, in front of Kahos, I want to be the Nasi Kahos. It's not fair. The Moshe Rabbeinu would talk to him and say, listen, but this is what the Rebbeinu Shalom said. You want, I'll bring you a complaint to the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's not what he did. That's not what he did. He lied. He was deceitful. He got other people involved in the machloikis. He lied to them. Yeah. If that's what happens at every machloikis, if you're hurt, someone does something to you, you go over and says, look, I'm very hurt. It bothers me. You know, we're good friends. 99% of the time, things melt. That's not what we do. We spin the wheel 3 times, and we say one thing, and we mean the other thing, and the other guy says one thing, he means the other thing. We get so tangled up, we forget ourselves where to entangle. You know, it's like hard to untangle because there's so much entanglement here. It's like if he wanted the honor and glory and went to Moshe Rabbeinu, it would have been straightened out. Instead, he sat quiet. It was brewing for years. He was getting angry and angry and angry. And the anger was growing. And then all he wanted was vengeance. Then he wasn't going to get anything.
Probably had hatred.
Huh?
Probably had hatred.
No, he had hatred and vengeance.
All the negativity. All negativity.
Huh?
His wife made fun of him.
And now his wife got involved because it was a whole...
Yeah.
That's what happens. That's the way machloikas happens.
Terrible.
So how come the Torah said, Korach v'chol adato? He just told them, come with me because Moshe is no good in this. But the Torah can call these people adato. I mean, this is his
Yeah,
people.
because they listen.
Just listen for
When
one
we
day.
talk about Korach, we say, listen, you really brought the tragedy to 250 families. But when we talk about them, they're bechira chavshis. They should have been smarter. They should have seen through. They should have seen through. True. The main troublemaker here is Korach. But they sinned because they got pulled along. They had a head. They should have thought.
There's a guy in Yerushalayim sits by the shul, always by the dog. People ask him, somebody is, what do you think by the dog? He said, the minute they hear my clock in the shul, I'm going to run out.
The truth is, it's easy to say. Dovi Hennig is a shliach in Shandu. He is a zayda. They found lately, a few years ago, they found the Tzav Yad that the Rebbe wrote. His grandfather's at Rav Emek, very choshev Rav in Israel. Has offered him many times to run for the position of chief rabbi of Israel. Ray Grossman, yeah. So earlier they found a letter he wrote years ago, and he claims he never got the answer. And a few years ago they found it. Rabbi Klein or someone, from old archives took it. He wrote to the Rebbe he doesn't want to take a position in Abonos. Because it's always machloikas. So the Rebbe he said, "What? You're better than Moshe Rabbeinu?" So always there has to. So something like that. You know, there's no excuse to say I'm going to run out the door just because of machloikas. You have to be there, and you have to sort out the machloikas. And if you take a blow, you take a blow, like Moshe Rabbeinu.
But it said it's rachek me'arabbanut.
Huh?
It said in Pirkei Avot.
Okay. So.
Far from the Rabbanut.
Rabbi waited a year before he accepted.
Right, okay. So I guess the Rebbe knew that was for him was not the time to be misrachik. For him it was a time to be miskarev. So that's the story. So now we understand why Rashi starts off saying Parshas Uyofen the Dreshes Medrash Rebbe Tanchuma. Rashi is not trying to say Chas v'Sholom. One time the Rebbe Tanchuma got it right. If you look in the Gemara and there's many other pshatim that are far away from Pshuta Shomikra, very, very far. Rashi doesn't have a sufficient pshat in Pshuta Shel Mikra. All that Rashi said here is not in the words. You know? So if it's not in the words, that's not pshat. It might be a great analysis, but it's not pshat. But the Rebbe Tanchuma said it. So therefore he says, I like Dafka, the one from Rebbe Tanchuma. Because Dafka, the one from Rebbe Tanchuma, is close enough to pshat that we, even though my thing is to explain pshat, but now I want to rely on the drash because I have no choice, and this is the closest thing I can find to pshat. The Rebbe says in the Sikha that he said in honor of his Chag HaTzola, Yom HaTzola, Korach Sivan, that the pshat is Parshas Yochanan the Dreshes. In drash, this whole story comes out very nice. In pshat, it's the most ugly story in the Torah. Rebellion against a tzaddik, against Moshe Rabbeinu, he's a tzaddik hador, and all the yid, their neshamas sustain themselves from the tzaddik and the nosi hador, and they're rebelling against them. It's a terrible story, and the consequences were terrible. Chloikis is the worst thing for Klal Yisrael. But if you want to look in Drash, in Pnimis HaTorah, the whole story turns out very nice. Because the Arizal says that the Korach was Gevurus. And he wanted that the Gevurus should be Iker. Gevurus Gsham. Strong. Powerful. There's two types of Neshamas. There's Neshamas of Beis Hillel and Neshamas of Beis Hammer. In Bisman Azeh said that we pass him like Beis Hillel. Mashiach is going to come, everything is going to turn around. Everything, whatever you know, the whole Shechonah is going to be rewritten. Everything said that Israel is going to be passing like Beis Shammai. Every machloikis. Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, today we pass like Beis Hillel, but Israel says Mashiach is going to come, we're going to pass like Beis Shammai. Why? Because today, before Mashiach comes, Beis Shammai is just too powerful. It's too much. Klal Yisrael can't take it. Like the story with the gay, he's just chasing him out. We can't live with that. Too many Yidden are going to fall away. He's too strict. It has to be in the way of Hillel, which is Chesed, to shine a light, the Hillel Nede, to warm them up, to be Mekad of the Yiddelach. Oh, Mashiach will come when every Yid will be strong. So Shammai will hit us with the stick. Okay, let's say hit a second time. You know, this Gafela. We're not going to be so insulted. We're not going to run out the base of Medish. So then Shammai Dafke is a bigger darg in Kedusha. Machloike is that the Korach wanted that even now the Gvuras should be Iker. That was a mistake. That until Mashiach comes, it has to be with Chesed. Only Chesed. The main approach right now has to be with ourselves, when we have to purify ourselves. Says the Alter Rebbe, not through torturing ourselves, but through talking to ourselves with kind words and saying, look, the time look and see versucht wird es sein, and the Eibish is good. You have to look and see that the Eibish is delicious, and this is juicy, this is good, and then we will light a light in our own neshama, and then we will tell another Yid to taste it and it's good, and that's how we'll bring Mashiach Tzidkein. Mashiach will come, then the Bezdin will get together, and they're going to read all the halachas. They're going to read everything is going to come on the chopping block. All the halachas are going to come back. But today we can't change halachas. Because halacha, I can't change. It has to be a Bezdin that's bigger. B'chochma b'minyan. What? The theological seminary in Cincinnati is bigger b'chochma b'minyan. It's not sheikh. You can't change anything. When Mashiach is going to come, we're going to change. And it's going to be B'Shammai, the halacha, because B'Shammai is stronger. It's Gevuras of Kedusha, which is stronger. And That was the mistake. Korach thought that wasn't the, now it's the Ikris Chasod. So the Rebbe said that's the inyan of Pashas who Yofa Nidresh has been Nidresh. If you look in the Medrash, it seems like a terrible story, but then you look at Primis HaTorah, you find that there's something Yofa, there's something very nice in the story. And that's really Shaykhis to Koyach Sivan, because Koyach Sivan is when the Rebbe came to these shores, and when his father-in-law appointed him to be his right-hand man, to be Mekarev Yidden, through Chesed, and Chesed, to bring Mashiach Tzidkenu.
Amen.
Right after Ma'ariv Mitzvah, if you can, please sit down for Alachayim, Makova, this Chag HaTzolah, Koyach Sivan.